Have you ever wondered what your hands, heart, and intuition might reveal about your life? Welcome to Live Soul Readings, Hands, Hearts, and Higher Guidance with Cynthia Clark and Megan Brown. Each week we explore meaningful themes, answer heartfelt questions, and offer live soul readings, intuitive messages, and higher guidance to bring greater clarity to your relationships, purpose, healing, and next steps. Want a chance to be featured live? Submit your hand photos and questions in advance. And join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. Arizona time. Because sometimes the guidance you've been seeking has been waiting for you all along.
Hello, spiritual friends, and welcome to today's live stream. I'm here with Megan Brown, and I'm Cynthia Clark, and we are talking today about forgiveness. So this is an interesting topic, I think, because a lot of times we have things that we think are maybe unforgivable. Right? Has that ever happened to you? And forgiveness is really a path forward. So, I want you to think about forgiveness as really a gift that you can give to yourself, because it really opens the doorway to your freedom from whatever it is that you think is unforgivable. And so I'm sure Megan has some thoughts on this as well. So what do you think, Megan?
There were things, you said it, that you think are unforgivable. And I remember feeling that way. And even during my NDE, I remember God ordering me to go back and, work things out with certain individuals in my family. And I really didn't think that that was going to be possible with all of them. But it is, and it happened. And I remember the moment that I forgave my mother. I left, and I was with my brothers, and I left, and I felt this weight off of me. And then the forgiveness kept unfolding, and it's unfolded even more where, strangely, she reaches out to me now, and it's like, okay, and I'm, responding, and everything it's as if it all happened, but we have our different versions of what happened, of course, because she can't see, and it's all good. But now it's like, I don't have any expectations of her to understand certain things. And so that is in alignment, I believe, with the forgiveness, is not to expect anybody to understand or align with you in your way of thinking. You just have to allow them to be where they're at. I think that's really significant in the healing and the forgiveness process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me, it was my sister who I had a lot of conflict with, and I'm the youngest in my family, and she was 8 years older than me. And I was shoved in her room when I was a baby. And I think that she absolutely hated that, So she would have been 8 years old, and I was just like born. And I think she, I'm sure obviously we choose our families and we choose our parents and all that. So I'm sure I chose my sister as well. And it's interesting how there was this tension between us pretty much our whole lives. And we don't see the same way at all. We live two totally different lives, but we didn't speak for over 20 years. Wow. And we had a fight. It's almost kind of funny to think about like what the fight was over now. But it had to do with a belief system. Okay, I'm not going to get into details, but she had one way of seeing something and I had a totally different way of seeing it. And that created a tension where it's like, well, I guess I'm just not going to ever speak to you again. And so, and it was sad because essentially I felt like I didn't have a sister. She was my only sister. I felt like well, I don't have a sister anymore. But the point of that is I needed to forgive not only her, but I needed to forgive myself for just the whole situation, because we live in this human body and this human experience, and then we have a soul that sees things completely differently. And the soul level is all love. Everything is love. Everything is wonderful. And sometimes we forget that, right, when we come to Earth. Or come back to Earth, I should say, in your case. But yeah, so that was a big one for me, and it was really neat that my sister actually came to my second wedding when I got married again 9 years ago. So I'm just celebrating my 9-year wedding anniversary this week, and I can't believe it's been 9 years. It's just so wonderful. So anyway, that was kind of my forgiveness story. And I hold no animosity towards my sister today, even though we still don't really talk much, and she still sees things completely different than I do. But it's like, well, okay, you live your life and I'll live mine, but we can live in a coexistence harmony that doesn't have to be full of anger and spite and hatred and all that stuff. I mean, that's the stuff you want to free yourself from.
Yeah, I agree. And what you're talking about, there's this underlying thread of I'm right. No, I'm right. Oh, no, I'm right. And so I think that builds upon itself and puts, the whole context into a different level. And so that's what, like, I've had to forgive myself for, because we, like you just said, we think a certain way. We don't come in knowing love and this whole thing. And it's like, in order to love, we just have to accept and, just detach from the need to be right about anything. Stand in your own conviction, but allow somebody else to do the same,
Exactly. Yeah. And I think so many people could learn that right now, especially because there's so much division, and it's like, well, if you don't think like I do, then you're wrong and I hate you. And that's really not what we're supposed to do. Yeah, we're supposed to just be in that acceptance, like you said, be in acceptance of we're all going to have different ways of seeing things, different ways of doing things. And it doesn't matter really who's right or wrong. What matters is that you are authentic in yourself and you are in harmony with the divine laws of the universe. So you're being loving, you're not creating more karma for yourself, in other words. So if you backlash on everyone and you get revenge or whatever it is, sometimes people want revenge for stuff. That's just going to come back on you, and that's going to create karma for you. So it is really important to not do that. We have to come back to love. We have to come back into harmony within ourselves. We have to come back into, well, they can have a different opinion and it's okay. So.
Absolutely. And you know what? Look, everybody is this, we've all been given these human vessels to be inside of and learn how to get back to ourself. Because literally that's what we're here to do, is get back to the frame of mind that, oh, I'm love. I have to just be love. And I have to help others see and understand themselves as love. And that, not to, be redundant here, but again, that's about acceptance and being able to step outside of yourself and just understand that, oh yeah, in order to be my highest self, I am going to honor the other person and where they're at right now.
Absolutely. So forgiveness also comes from, we need to look at things that we have done or haven't done during our lives, right? So you don't want to get to the end of the road, right, where you're going to go back up to heaven, or whatever your version of heaven is that you think of, what happens after we die. But we don't want to get there and then come back and be regretful of, wow, I really held on to this anger and this hatred, and I could have done it so much better, because the only one who's going to judge you is you. You're going to have a life review. You're going to see everything in full 3D video, and you're going to see it from the perspective of you living your life again, but you're also going to see it and feel it from the perspective of everyone else. And so then you're really going to see, where you came from. And so, and the universe doesn't get this wrong. It's an absolute law of the universe that we go through this. So why not start now and really look at your life and ask yourself, what do I need to forgive within myself? And I had one of my spirit guides come in and actually tell me this a while back. They're like, we want you to go through your entire life from age 0, which of course I can't remember when I was first born, but they told me to go all the way back to that, all the way up till now, and look at everything that you have perceived as unforgivable within yourself. Like, what mistakes did you make? What did you see as a failure? What did you see as like, oh, I really screwed that up, how we beat ourselves up. And they said, go through that whole life and forgive yourself. And it took me a while to do this meditation. It probably took me over an hour. I'm trying to remember how long it took, but I just said, okay, I'm going to just go and do this. And it turned out to be one of the best meditations I ever did.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really powerful. So, we sometimes have stuff that's ingrained. Like, I'm not kidding you. I had this one that came up where I spilled my sister's ink in the kitchen. And I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. And it created this trauma because I thought she was going to kill me. And, but when you're a little kid, you go through stuff like that. So I had to heal that, like, oh, like, you're so clumsy. You had to, you spilled the ink and you made a huge mess in the kitchen. It's like, yeah, but look at the 5-year-old that you're talking to. I mean, we expect 5-year-olds to do stuff like that, right? And it's like, looking at it from our adult perspective, it's like, it's okay. Like, would you finally forgive yourself for that? It was like, wow, it's about time, right?
Yeah. 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 I've actually described things in forgiving myself even, and holding on to energy that no longer serves. And having had my life review, everything you said is correct. You are really judging yourself. You're the first one to judge yourself when you get to that life review. You haven't met God yet until you see the life review. And I remember standing there, be like, at first it's reliving and this whole thing, but then it becomes, oh, wait, I could have done this differently. I didn't have to hold on to that rage, because I had a rage, and it was the rape that happened to me when I was 20 years old. That pushed me into atheism, and that pushed me into being extremely angry. And I was. And then as I'm watching my life review, I thought, oh, that's the only way I knew how to respond. So I didn't know that there was another way. And this is so, we could build on this alone, but in order to get to the forgiveness part of it, I had to understand that happened in order for me to know where love was out of alignment with that individual. Okay. So that individual violated me, but I now feel sorry for the individual because they didn't know better. And so this is a different perspective as the observer of my own life that I began to take on after my NDE, and, doing, like you said, stepping forward and looking at yourself, because being the observer of yourself, it just, you become more gentle because you realize I didn't know any better. And I tell people, look, it's like a toddler. Are you going to get mad at a toddler for knocking something over, like such as the ink with your sister? Are you going to get mad at them? Well, no, because they didn't know. They didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident,
Right.
So we have to give ourselves that permission as an adult to do the same thing. What we didn't know then, and perhaps we know now, it could be two different things, but oh, wow, it's so nice. But you have to allow yourself. You have to really allow yourself and honor yourself, love yourself, and say, had I known to do something better with my energy around this, I would have done it. And so that's where I had to fall into forgiveness, even with myself, like, you were discussing earlier. It's so important too.
Yeah, it totally is. So we can actually see in the hands too, if you're still holding on to anger. So I wanted to point that out. If everybody wants to take a quick look at their own hands, you can actually look at a couple of places. Number one is you want to look at the color in your hands. Okay, so if you take your fingers and you bend them backwards, you'll notice that some colors might start to pop out on your hands. Okay, if you see red anywhere in your hands, okay, so not like a healthy color, but noticeably red, that is showing anger. Okay, so depending on where it shows up is going to be what you're angry about, by the way, but just in general, we look at the color. Okay, so if you see any red, it could be, you can also think of the redness as I'm trying to gain more control over my life. Okay, so the reason why you're angry is because you feel like something is out of control or something you can't control, right? And so that leads us to another point in forgiveness, and that is you can't control other people. So to try and control them, is like, for example, if you have a fight, right? I had the fight with my sister. It's not up to my myself to control her actions on whether or not she accepts my apology or not, which, that is actually beside the point. Sometimes there doesn't even need to be an official reconciliation. You just have to do it within yourself, right? So the result and the outcome, it doesn't even matter. Okay, so that's a good one to remember. And then guess what? Your redness in your hands will start to fade. So you can actually track this. It's amazing, right? So the other thing we can look at is what we call the Mars mount, which is located just above the thumb. Okay, so this little tiny bulgy section above the thumb is what we call Mars. If Mars is really big and puffy, that is somebody who has a lot of persevering energy, first of all. But if it's too big, it can be more forceful or more pushing onto others, right? So we want to just pay attention to that. It can be anger as well. Okay, so if it's too puffy. And then also there could be a line that goes right out from this mount and it goes across the hand. We call that a Mars challenge line. It's going to go basically cutting the hand in half, and it's going to go all the way across to what the section of the hand we call Pluto. So if that's the case, we call that a Mars challenge line. That's an indication that you are holding on to some anger over something. Okay, so if that line, and of course the lines change over time. So if you If you forgive or if you let that go, guess what? That line is going to disappear. So keep an eye on that and really look at it and go, okay, what do I need to forgive? Excuse me. What am I holding on to that is asking for love, right? Because it's all coming back to the love. So those are some things you can check out in your hands. By the way, if you want your hands read on the show, all you got to do is scan that QR code. I'm trying to point to it, but the QR code at the top of the screen. You can submit your hands for me to look at in a future episode. And you can also ask Megan a question to for her guides, and she can tune in and connect to the answer for you. So this is all part of what we do on our live stream. So by the way, if you have any questions, you can also put them in the comments, and we will be happy to look at your questions. So I also wanted to mention too, Megan, and I know you like to use crystals as well. But there's tools. Sometimes we need tools, right? There's tools to help us with forgiveness. And so I personally love to use crystals. And so the crystal that I recommend above all others for this particular topic is the rose quartz. Okay, so I brought my rose quartz today, by the way, Megan.
It's beautiful. I've seen it up close. It's so incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, it's this lovely carved as a rose. It's like, I just love this. So if you are struggling with forgiveness, you could just grab yourself some rose quartz. It's very easy to find in any crystal shop. It's not too expensive. And you can hold it. You can think about the person or yourself, and you can tune in and ask yourself, rose quartz, please help me to release this. And it absolutely is really a great crystal for that. So any other crystals you like, or what any rituals you like to do, Megan?
Well, it's interesting. I like to work with the water, and I do actually put crystals in my water. So the rose quartz, the amethyst, and I also put shungite in the water. But this has been so incredible. Now, when you were talking, I thought, oh, yes. So the other thing that I do is I work with water. Literally get a glass of water. And whatever it is that you're struggling with in terms of forgiveness, I want you to think about the water in front of you. And I want you to say to that water, I love you. I love you because you are only allowing me to be myself, and you're giving to me. You are my life, which literally water is our life. And then I want you to tell yourself, every water droplet inside of me, in my blood, because I've had a blood disease. That's what I got. And this is how I've learned it. I want you to talk to your blood, the plasma, which is 92% water. I want you to tell yourself, I am love. I love you. Whether you can say that with ease and grace or not is irrelevant. What you have to do is begin working with the water. And as that water that you drink, when you speak to it with loving intention, it is mirroring you. That water will give you what you are saying to it, because that's what it is. So when you're angry about something, and you're talking about the body and the coloring in the palm, your body will take it on. And your body will take on that anger and that resentment, and it doesn't know what to do because your body is listening to that feeling and that emotion of, the rage like I once had. And it literally, I've shared before, my body said, oh, I can't work in this type of an energetic network system any longer. So keep that in mind. That's my go-to as well, is water.
I want to comment on that because I have a great story about water. So, have you ever been in a restaurant? Okay, so I remember really well. I was in Wendover, Nevada, okay, which is right on the border of Utah and Nevada. And I was at a casino and we were at this, diner or whatever in the casino. And they had really, really horrible water.
Oh,
Okay, so we're talking the tap water was horrible, horrible water. And, I like to have water a lot of times with my meal and I was thinking at the time, like, I have got to do something with this horrible water. And so what I ended up doing was I did exactly like what you were talking about, Megan. I'm like, I'm going to send love to this glass of water that is so horrible and it tastes awful. And I did that for a couple of minutes while we were waiting for our food. I mean, what else are you going to do, right? So,
so
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can talk to your partner or whatever, or whoever you're with.
yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I'm going to see if I can make this water taste better. And so I did this for about 2 minutes. And I am not kidding you, the water was completely transformed.
Wow.
And it tasted amazing. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? I was really, really shocked, but it literally changed taste. So therefore, I know it changed structure, right? Because we can change structure of things. That's why the hands change, those lines are not static in your hands. That anger line can totally disappear. So I was just amazed. So yes, loving your water and your food. This is why, we bless our food too, right? Why you do blessing before you eat. These little things are sending love into that. And it absolutely can make a difference. But we can also do this, and this is where it can get really fun and interesting, is try it with things that you're struggling with. Okay, so for example, maybe you hate your air conditioner, just as an example. Maybe your air conditioner is going out, and so then you're going to send it a lot of hate, right? I would challenge you to turn that around and instead send it some love and see what happens.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. Why
Yeah.
not? Why
Yeah.
not? I mean, it's using water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So and this can apply to anything, right? So, anything that's giving you trouble, maybe it just needs a little love and attention. Send it some forgiveness. It's like, I forgive you. Maybe you've worked really hard and you're tired. And so you're going out. Maybe you need replacing. I know it's 100 degrees outside, but I'm still going to love you. Thank you for doing all the job that you've already done. And I'm not saying it's going to fix it necessarily, but a lot of times it does. I mean, I actually taught this to my mom a while back, and she was having trouble with her water heater. And she needed somebody to come out and look at it and whatever. Anyway, I don't remember all the details of that story, but I remember really specifically that it helped her. It lessened her bill on whatever it was. Like the perfect person came out and did like an amazing job for a lot less money. And she ended up getting it fixed, like right away. So, I mean, a lot of good things happened just from that. So, anyway, that's some stuff that I would recommend.
Love it.
So, Allie is saying it's hard to watch. Oh yeah. So if you're having trouble with our video, it could be your Wi-Fi speed. It's probably not on our end. So there's really not much we can do about that. And then Namira says, I bless my food and water because I have less to spend and I'm grateful I can eat and drink. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, of course, we should definitely be grateful for all that stuff. So so the another process that we can practice. Oh, good, fixed it. Okay, good. Yeah, we just got out of Mercury retrograde, by the way. So in case anybody is wondering about glitches in electronics, we just finished up a cycle of Mercury retrograde on 23rd. So sometimes the 2 days after can still sort of glitch a little bit. But it should start getting better and better. So anyway, we're just glad that you're here and we appreciate you. So if anybody has a question, you're welcome to type it into the chat. And I brought my palmistry tarot cards that I can pull for you. I can pull you a card and Megan can tune into her guides. But yeah, we are talking about forgiveness. And while we're waiting on that, we also have a couple of announcements, and I'm going to put those up here. So Megan is going to be starting a new class. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I will. Let me get my my little picture up here so I don't mess it up, what it's called, because I do that sometimes.
So, well, I put it in the screen here. It says, "Who did you have to become?"
Yeah. So we all get shaped in life. We all get shaped by our family dynamics, the religious affiliations, our cultures, where in the world we're raised. There are many different ways that we are shaped. And what I am teaching is the way of who you are. I mean, literally who you are underneath everything that you know currently about yourself. And it's about getting to a different place inside of yourself, hearing yourself differently, learning how to forgive in the process of understanding this. I mean, I do have a forgiveness course as well, but it just weaves into everything, everything that I'm talking about. And who did you have to become? Think about it. I knew who I had to become. I was told, you can think this way, you can say this. Oh, you can't go over there. You can't do this. Okay, but that's what you're saying. What do I want? What is it that I want? And so we all get into this this role and rhythm in our lives. And what happens, as far as I'm concerned, is we get so familiar with it that it becomes our identity. Like, this is who we think we are. And in fact, it's not. There's something else that exists. And so I take people on this journey to themselves. And it's really quite beautiful. And everything is through love and the love acronym that I work with. So.
And that's starting in September, is that right? This one?
Yes, Tuesday, September 1st at 5 p.m. Arizona time. And it's
Perfect.
a 6-week online course.
All right. So yeah, so if you're interested in joining Megan's class, you can just go to conversationswithmegan.com/event-list. So yeah, I've got it right there for you. And I also want to just mention something that I've got going on. If you're interested, I have a music album that I created called Ascended Ho'oponopono. So for those of you who have not heard of Ho'oponopono, it's a beautiful Hawaiian technique for forgiveness. And so it uses these 4 phrases: I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Okay, so I've taken those 4 phrases, I've put them into these songs that actually incorporate the solfeggio tones. So we have these healing tones that can go from the 174 hertz all the way to the 963 hertz. And each song is a different solfeggio tone. So it's a really beautiful way to tap into forgiveness through listening to music So you can just go to ascension17.com/music to listen to an excerpt and just if you want to check it out. So,
and I have to interject something here because you've shared some of it with me, and it's really quite beautiful, and it's so incredibly relaxing. It's awesome. So like I highly recommend it for meditation or just as a relaxation technique, really.
yeah, yeah. A lot of times, my husband and I meditate at night together, and sometimes we'll do just a music meditation, and that's when I do my automatic writing and I channel different spirit guides and angels, galactic guides, things like that. But sometimes we also just listen to a song. And a lot of times he's like, "Oh, play one of those songs." You know? And I'm like, "Okay." So that's what we end up doing. And so the Ho'oponopono is really good, especially if you've been around negativity of any kind. And if you feel like you just can't get back into that positive, it works really well. So okay, so we are going to be looking at some comments here. Let's get some questions going here in the chat. And let's see. Oh, let's see. Allie says it wasn't her Wi-Fi. It was a short was running simultaneously. Okay, well, yeah. Sometimes our computers want to overload us, don't they? I find that I have too many tabs open at once, and that's usually my problem. And let's see, Namira has a question coming in. She wants to know, can I ask how live will be now? My youngest son is moving with his girlfriend, and it is feeling strange, but I am happy for them. Okay, so I guess the question is you want to know how it's going to go, like how is that move going to go for your son? Okay, well, we can certainly tune into that question right now. And sometimes people ask me, by the way, if children are in their hands, and my answer to that is no. We do see intimate relationships on the hands, but it's typically like a spouse or a partner. We can see spirit guides and things like that, but children are actually not in the hands. So I'm going to pull a card for you for this one, and we'll let Megan also tune in, and we'll just see what comes up. All right. Okay, so the card that I'm getting is the inverted King of Fire. Okay, so this is really a card about learning how to handle authority and responsibility. Okay, so given that this is your youngest son, it feels to me like he is still learning how to be responsible, how to take care of, someone else in his life. And he's probably going to make some mistakes, okay? But, this is how it is. Mistakes happen. And what you can do is just love him through the whole process. So no matter what happens, whether it's good or bad, just be there for him and help him to maybe recognize his duties and responsibilities and maybe to step into them. So how can he be that person that he wants to become? Help him to gain some confidence in his independence with this new situation that he's looking at. That would be my advice. How about you, Megan?
So I said the prayer that I do, and I see the pyramid at the end. This is what I get, and for every individual, they show up differently. in different positions. So sometimes I can see the full body. Sometimes it's the full body with, like the chest up, or sometimes the head, and sometimes they move. So what I saw was the first three who I called on. The first one's always Archangel Michael. That's very solid. So I'm getting that this is more about the relationship of you and your child. And the next part is you thinking of what's going on. And you're really in your head, because they showed me from here up. And this is just like, what's going to happen? How do I stay in touch? How do I, there's almost a slight fear of losing the relationship as well, is what I'm getting. And then the last three in this pyramid, it was like a wave, of water, where it's a buoy. They're each a buoy in the water, and they're just kind of rising and going up and down. So there's this energetic flow, but it's up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's, what you want to do is just, you don't want to worry about that and being the buoy. You just want to go with the flow of the energy, because the other individual in this relationship is going to add a little bit of stress going on here with your child. And it is what it is. And you just love, 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 and go with that energy. Just be the buoy, so that it can always just come to you no matter what. And I get the feeling it does.
Yeah, for sure. And I just get the feeling too that, this, there's a learning curve that comes with like new situations, and, he's going to have a learning curve, and it's okay. But just like Megan said, still love him no matter what happens, and just be there for him. And, I look at every experience as an opportunity for growth for everyone involved. So that's definitely what is going to be happening with this situation. So hopefully that is helpful for you. Let's see if there's any other. Yes, I hope he comes to help you as well if he needs you. Sometimes those boys and those men can be a little stubborn, and they think they have to do everything on their own. But, we do what we can, right? And you can always connect to his higher self too. That's another thing that you can always do. So even if you're not physically talking to them, or if you're not in the same place, you can always meditate, and you can speak directly to their higher self at any time in meditation. And sometimes I find that to be just as effective. And it brings you peace too, because then hey, I haven't lost that connection. It's still right there. So, okay, looks like we have another question coming in. Allie wants a question. Okay, would you pull a card for me? Okay, sure, we can do that. And then looks like Robert also has a question, and we'll get to yours after Allie. Okay, so let's just pull your message of the day, I guess, is what we're going to do for you, Allie. And let's see what comes up. Okay, your card is, interesting. It's the same card that we just got, the King of Fire. This time it's upright. So, yes, it looks like the world is your oyster. So we have this beautiful fire energy. This is about empowerment. This is also the star of Jupiter, which is located just underneath that index finger. And it's a talent marker that can show up. So it represents the high achiever. It represents the bigger vision, looking at the big picture and expanding what that looks like for you. So I would say, take a little time today to actually look at that, what that is for you, and how can you step into maybe a greater version of yourself, and whatever that looks like. So what is the one next step you can do to be that bigger version of you that you you already are? Okay. What about Megan? Do you have any other comments for Allie?
Yeah, I was saying the prayer, and I got that there's a lot of there's a lot of thought going on. There's a lot of in your head. And each one of the souls that I called on in the pyramid that I get shown, it's all in your face. So whatever this is going on in your life, it's like it's right here in front of you. And they also showed me like a quick pullback. So where all of them are in, I can see the entire bodies of them. That means step back in order to see it clearly with more accuracy is what I'm hearing. So.
Okay. So we hope that's helpful for you, Allie. Okay, so we're going to go over to Robert King's question. And I'm shuffling right now for you, Robert. He says that I have been in a shell for the past 7 years after a nasty divorce, many deep hurts. I've been attempting to break free from that shell. Will this be the season I can break free and rejoin the world? Okay, so let's pull a card on that and just get an advice card for you and see what comes up. Okay, so yeah, the card coming up is the inverted Six of Air, okay, which is the Traveler's Fork card. Okay, so yeah, this is a card of emotions, right? So we have I can see where the emotional hurt has been coming from for you. Smoky quartz is also in this card, so you might want to get yourself a smoky quartz and meditate with that. That can definitely help you release pain, and it can help you forgive things that you perceive as a failure, especially is what's good with smoky quartz. 7 years is a long time too, and I think of cycles of time, and a lot of times the cycle is 7 years. So I would definitely say the potential for you to move on is definitely there. But it's really important for you to come back to loving yourself, recognizing that some things can't be fixed. I mean, I went through a horrible divorce about 11 years ago, and it took me a few years to really come out of that as well. So I totally get it. And I was married for 19 years to my first husband. And it was absolutely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, was to overcome that divorce. So first off, my hat's off to you. It is extremely difficult. Be gentle and compassionate with yourself, because time doesn't really matter, right? We're in a certain amount of, we think like, oh, I should be over this by now. And sometimes it just takes what it takes, right? So that's also what this card is saying. It's like, you can move on at any time, but you've got to, it's got to be right for you, So can you be compassionate with yourself and loving with yourself? That is the most important thing of all. And not expecting any resolution on their end, right? We got to let go of attachments and, bring in some humor. Okay, so Knight of Air is coming up, which is the loop of humor. Can you laugh? Can you have fun? Can you lighten your energy? Ways to lighten your energy. And by the way, we're going to close with a little meditation to help everybody. So I think that would be appropriate for today. Megan, do you have any comments for Robert?
Yes, I do. I actually see sitting like head in the hand like this and a tear. And so it's like the struggle. By the way, I feel for you for divorce, because like Cynthia, I was married to my ex-husband for a long time. And it's the most difficult thing to go through. Mine was horrible. And what I am hearing for you is that sadness is actually to help you level up into what your actual needs are. Your spouse was to teach you who you really are. In other words, it's like the security blanket, and then it rips away, and you have to step in to your next level self. And what I also see is that you will get up and you'll start moving forward. I still see you looking down like this, but eventually your eyes go up and then you're looking into what's in front of you with and being more open is what I see that as being as well. It's like you'll be more receptive to the newer energy coming in. And once you love, like literally love your spouse and the divorce, when you can get to that level, they're saying that's when everything, the shedding will happen. Like your needs have changed. Honor the shift in you and what's happened, and listen differently, not to the wound of, oh, I can't believe this and she did this. It's like, okay, but what's underneath all of that? Because this isn't about your spouse or ex-spouse. This isn't about them. It's not at all. As a matter of fact, it's about you. So yeah, that's what I'm getting for you. And it'll help you greatly. It will really help you greatly when you start listening to this and feeling this differently and wishing the entire experience love.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we hope that's helpful for you, Robert. And let's see, we had another comment coming in from Allie, who's just saying that our advice was helpful. Yay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. She's overwhelmed trying to be an advocate with accuracy for TTP research. Okay. Well,
wait,
yeah, that's
TTP? Did you just say TTP?
Yes.
Oh, hello. Okay, you must have seen. So can I just interject on TTP? Because that's what I have. It's the thrombotic thrombocytopenia purpura. I have also the hemolytic uremic syndrome, which is the side effect. TTP is a blood disease, okay, for those of you listening that don't know. And what this means is that the blood becomes toxic. Now, what they didn't know when I was diagnosed with it 19 years ago, they know some different things now, but I am telling you, it is so incredibly significant to pay attention to the water. And what I talked about earlier about speaking to your water, what you have to do is start speaking to the body this way. So I am in category 4, which was the phenomenon category of the TTP. And so they don't know how it came in. It wasn't in my DNA. It wasn't, genetic. It wasn't from the meat. And I think the other one was like fecal matter or something like that. So I didn't qualify in any of those. So they were like, okay, we don't know, you're in the phenomenon category. What I knew in that moment, as I'm laying there in my hospital bed by myself, I might add, in the daytime, I had a rough time with this. I had to shift my way of thinking. So listen, the discoveries of the TTP, you need the plasma. You can't live through TTP. It's already known. I mean, there are variations of it and levels of it, but if you have a severe case of the TTP, you have to have plasma exchange. You have to have dialysis. You might even have to have blood transfusions, such as myself. I had all 3. But what needs to happen in this is you have to help the patient shift their frame of mind. And I am telling you, it is so critical, because I remember that one day laying there by myself in the hospital bed. I was upset. I was really angry. This is where I broke my anger and my rage, was during this experience with TTP for 2 months in the hospital. I literally became paralyzed from it. So I had to learn how to walk again. And it was my frame of mind in one moment. I will never forget. I said, Megan, you have a stress-induced autoimmune disease. What are you doing? You're getting angry. Why are you going to get angry? Are you going to live in the past, or are you going to live for your son? So that was my go-to in that moment. So my point in sharing this is that was my goal, was to live for my son. So everybody has a goal. And if they don't understand what their goal is, then you need to help create one for the TTP patient. And I know I'm only talking because I'm not a doctor. I'm the patient of it. But I also know that this is a huge emotional task and a psychological task that takes place during the process of forgiveness. Because also in that moment, like we're talking about, I had to have forgiveness for those who decided, yeah, I'm not going to go see her in the hospital. Oh, she's there for 2 months. Oh, that's too bad. Literally, No one in my family showed up. And so I was 90% of my body shut down. There's anger, there's expectation, there's disappointment, there's sadness. All of this goes into it. So TTP is a multitude of things. Now, I mean, I'm living on the other side of it, and I'm telling you, it's beyond the blood. It's a way of thinking, and it's the internal water inside of you. And as you know, if you know about TTP, then you know the plasma needs to be prayed for. And all of this clean blood, all of this clean plasma that's in blood transfusions that are getting, given to the patient, pray for them and pray for the transmission of other people's bodies going into the one that you're trying to help save, and talk about it with the patients. It's not a religion, it's a frame of mind. Because I was an atheist going into this of 18 years, having been raised Roman Catholic. And I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with your frame of mind and love. And that's what my whole NDE was from, was the TTP episode in my life that introduced me to this way of thinking and knowing that it is the mind shift and understanding the power of the miracle tone 528. Just throwing that out there because
which we're gonna play momentarily.
Oh, perfect. And Dr. Masaru Emoto, he actually, and it's not taken seriously by science, but he did all of these studies on water and speaking positive words and negative, chaotic words into the water and then freezing it and did the pictures. Okay, so my wish is for people who have TTP and anything, everyone needs this. Speak to the water. That's it. Speak to the water. Love your water. Love all of the water. Love the blood. Love the plasma. Love the blood donations. Keep a positive energy around these patients because, is that a rough thing to get through? It really is. So I hope that was
right. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing all that. So yeah, we are going to close our day today with a little meditation. We're going to play the 528 hertz solfeggio, which I happen to have right here. And hopefully you guys can hear it. It's going to start popping in here. And we're going to also have our rose quartz. Okay, so I'm bringing the rose quartz back in. And you guys can just imagine that rose quartz right over your heart. And I'm going to put it right over my heart as well. And you can just go ahead and just close your eyes for just a minute and imagine breathing soft pink light into your heart, the color of that rose quartz. And we're going to release. All right, so we're going to release what no longer serves my highest good. I forgive with wisdom. I forgive with compassion. I forgive because my heart deserves peace. As I open my heart, I make space for greater love, joy, clarity, and the unique contribution my soul came here to share. I release anything that is negative or dissonant within my energy field in all timelines and all dimensions now. And I come back to love. I come back to light. I come back to the knowingness of my eternal self and recognize that I am love, that I am loved, and that I am loving. Thank you, and so it is. And just breathe that right into your heart. You can open your eyes when you're ready. And how does everybody feel? All right. Namira says that's great. Yeah, she's got a little prayer symbol. Thank you. Yeah, I felt my heart open with that, so that was pretty fun. So we can, sometimes we think we have to take a long time to do healing work, and that actually is not true. Sometimes it can be very quick. So we try to keep things quick around here. All right.
Remember though, just claim it. I am love, because that helps with everything and the forgiveness and what you're saying.
Absolutely. So thank you everybody for your comments. Thank you for showing up today, showing up for yourself. If you want me to look at your hands in a future episode, just scan that QR code. You can also submit your question in advance. So you were going to be more likely to be featured. Yeah, you're welcome, Robert. Yeah, our pleasure. We're here for you. So yeah, next week we'll be back and we'll have a whole new topic that we're going to talk about, and we look forward to seeing you again. So have a beautiful day, everyone.